Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is my first real video on here, and for this video I'll be drawing Transformers for a month. My goals for this video is to learn how to draw Transformers by the end of the month, and the end goal is to be able to draw a pretty good looking Devastator. Real quickly, here's a breakdown on how I would draw Transformers. I learned this technique from this guy. His video was pretty helpful. Helped me be a little looser with my drawings. This breakdown is pretty simple. It's just boxes for the chest, pelvis, arms, and legs. And taking this basic template, you can draw basically any Transformer over it. For example, I'm gonna take this template and draw Optimus Prime on top of it. And that's basically how I would go about drawing Transformers. And going back in time a little bit, here's a Devastator that I made some point in mid-December. This is way before I made this challenge. I mostly just did it for fun. This one is the line art version of it, and here's a half shaded version of it that I guess I forgot to do. This took me quite some time to draw. It looked pretty simple, but it was really hard to draw. So it's now been 2 months later, and this is the beginning of this 1 month challenge. And at this point, I had recently gotten Scott Robertson's How to Draw book, and I drew these cards using those techniques from the book. Not perfectly, but as best as I could at the time, since I was still learning and was still brand new to this book. Here's me slowly practicing bits of Devastator by drawing his Mixmaster. I used one of my action figures as reference for this one. And here's Wheeljack, Starscream, Crosshairs, and Optimus Prime. For Wheeljack and Starscream, I used more action figures I had for reference. Crosshairs and Optimus, I used images of real cars from Pinterest as reference. And then just random stuff. So there's really not much to say about these next couple pages. The next one is from November 27th, and it's just Optimus Prime and Blistering here. I used figures for both of these again. And the next page after that one, not sure when it was from, but between November 27th and December 5th. And it's just Armada, Wheeljack, and G1 Windcharger. I didn't really like these so much, so we could just move on from them. And speaking of December 5th, here's a whole page of Optimuses. Let's get the unrelated ones out of the way first. On the top left, it's another attempt at making Devastator, his left arm, Bone Crusher, and next to it is just a random drawing of Starscream. So now for the main subject of this page, I used some drawings from the artist John Corona. I wanted to see if I can get any looser or less stiff figures than the previous drawings I've been making. I think it did work a little bit. My next few drawings hasn't been as stiff as the last few pages I've been showing off. And Baby's Prime. Okay, so there's a lot to show off in this page. This is an accumulation of a few days, December 16th, 18th, and 19th. And I really like this page. So starting with December 16th, on this day I only drew G1 Starscream, Dirge, and Kickback. I used these little blockies figures as my reference, and I think they turned out pretty good. And they also have a lot more detail than the previous ones. I think the Starscream one is probably my favorite one of the 3 so far. On December 18th, I started the page off with Bumblebee in his Cybertronian mode. These ones are a bit meh, but they're mostly just warm-ups, so yeah. And then the Optimus Prime next to it I did mostly from memory, since he's pretty easy to draw anyways. And after that, I ambitiously tried drawing Devestator. And I think this one is my favorite of the whole page. I used a toy of mine as reference for this one. Comparing this one to the first attempt I made in the beginning of this video, there is a lot of improvement to it. There is a lot more details to this. It's not as simple looking as the other one, even though they're both based off the same designs. One of them is based directly off the G1 cartoon, and the other one is based off a figure based off that cartoon. Then I drew Jetfire to the left of him, based off a drawing I saw on Pinterest. Not sure who the artist was for it. The mid-air Optimus was mostly from imagination as well. The perspective of the back wheels are a bit off compared to the cab, but I don't know, it looks alright I guess. On December 19th, I drew Wheeljack, various Bone Crushers, Grimlock, and Jet Mode Starscream. Wheeljack was based off a still from the cartoon, the original cartoon. This one was my first attempt at a full body figure, not counting the Devestator from the beginning of this video. The legs are a bit wonky, but overall I think this is a solid attempt, and I'm happy with this one. Around it are just different poses and his alt mode, and another Starscream. There's also some Grimlocks around them that I drew from Pinterest references. This one in hindsight looks a bit weird or flat or something. So notice how I'm taking some of what I showed you in the beginning of the video about breaking down the figures into basic boxes as I sketch Soundwave. It's good to note that with anything you draw, you should always break it down into basic shapes. Whether it's Transformers, cars, humans, houses, or so on. Breaking everything into the biggest shapes, squares, circles, rectangles, it'll give you a good base on how the drawing will look, so then you can start on smaller details like pistons, little panels, lines, rendering, hatching, cross-hatching, that kind of stuff. So even if you have pretty good details on your artwork, if your base or fundamentals are all wrong, the whole drawing is going to look wrong. No amount of details is going to fix that. So right now I'm just slightly erasing the sketch and doing some tighter lines as I finish the drawing. And here's the finished sketch of Soundwave. I took all the things that I showed in the beginning of the video to create this sketch pretty easily. So now I'm drawing Metroplex, and if you can notice, the basic template I've been talking about before, I had to tweak a little bit, most noticeably in the hips. His hips are a lot wider than they are on Soundwave. So notice how I'm breaking everything down. Bigger shapes first, then everything else. Then all the smaller details like the guns, the panel lines, and everything else. And now I'm just lightly erasing it and going over it with more refined lines. Now I'm just putting in some details on his chest, arms, pelvis. I do feel like this didn't turn out as good as I would have hoped. It's not terrible, but there's some parts that look off, mostly in the stomach area and the pelvis. And here's the finished result of the sketch of Metroplex. So for this one, I'm drawing Hound. So this one was a little harder to draw with all the stuff he had with the engine sticking out and all that. And the weird arms he has. The placement of it is a bit weird. This one could have been better. I think I missed an area or two when drawing this, so it's probably like half done, and I didn't realize it at the time. And for this one, I am drawing G1 Sunstreaker. This one was also a bit difficult to draw for me. Maybe it was the angle that I was trying to make it, or maybe it was the reference. I don't know, something about this was a bit hard. This one was okay. This is definitely my least favorite one of the page. I didn't even end up finishing this one because I was having so much difficulty drawing it that I just ended up giving up on it. And now, for the final part of the video, I'm going to be finally drawing Devastator. And for this phase of the drawing, it's just blocking everything out. The pose I'm going for this is based off reference off Pinterest, which you can kind of see in the upper corner. So now I'm slowly adding details. Most of it is kind of placeholders or the basic shapes of the limbs, like the rectangular thighs or where the arms and hands are gonna go, and the head and part of the crane of Hook, the chest plate and all that too. I'm drawing it pretty loose now, so that later when I add all the details, everything's in the right spot. So now I'm just adding in the details of the upper chest and head. This isn't the fully refined version of it, but it's still pretty loose. I'm still trying to keep this as loose as I can while still adding pretty refined details, like adding in the whole head as opposed to just a circle as it was earlier. Just adding in the bumpers of Hook's truck and part of the cab, adding in the chest plate now, and also adding in the crane. Okay, so now I'm just working on the legs, slowly refining Mixmaster and Scrapper, making sure everything looks good before I do tighter lines. So now I'm just erasing the sketch so I can start the final drawing. So now I'm just refining the lines and just mostly outlining the more important lines. And here is me drawing the chest plate. getting some work done on scavenger's part of the arm, moving my way across to all the upper chest details. And now move my way to the midsection, getting all those details, the wheels and whatnot. I was going to delete this part, but I figured I should show. I reworked the entire pelvis because I thought the perspective looked off. I used my figure as reference and came up with this new angle. Not sure if it worked perfect, but compared to the other one, I think this will do. It was both pretty fun and pretty challenging to attempt this one. This did put my knowledge to the test a little bit, since it does have a lot of different perspectives going on. I mean, a regular transformer does too, but I feel like this has way more, or at least in my mind, it has way more than it normally would. And now I'm working my way on Mixmaster, and it looks alright, I guess. This one was a little more tricky to do. This and Scrapper were a bit difficult. Most of what I'm doing, all these lines and little details, are based off what I see the toy has. I did get a little bit lazy with this one, with this leg, because it was a little bit more tricky to do with all the tilting angles and the slopes and the big bulldozer thing it has on front. Now adding all the details to the crane, adding the little hook at the end of it too, and now I'm working my way onto the head, adding little bits of details here and there to Bone Crusher's side of the arm and working on the gauntlets. The wrists were pretty easy, probably the easiest part of the entire drawing. They're just basic blocks. Now I'm just adding little final bits of detail. And now I'm doing the last bit of it, the final part, the shadings. I grabbed a little tissue I had lying around to prevent my hand from smudging all the shadings, which I don't think worked as well as I was hoping for, because it still smudged a little bit, but maybe not as much as if I didn't grab one. So I don't know if you could tell throughout the video, but I didn't really know what to talk about. So I guess I just narrated, the obvious that was going on. So I guess to fill out these last few minutes of the video, I'm just gonna say whatever. I guess the first thing I want to mention is this channel. I have no idea what to do with it, since this video was so spontaneous. I don't know if I want to keep making videos or, I don't know, make more, maybe. This is like a very different style of videos, since the other ones I have, my prior ones, are just wrestling based or stop motion, or just probably stupid stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I want to keep doing that. Well, I guess my free time I will, but I mean for videos. Or if I want to keep doing art videos and explore that for a bit, or just stop posting again for another who knows how long. So I guess we'll see. This took me quite some time to I guess film and edit, since I've been busy with work and it hasn't given me enough time to work on this. Plus it's pretty time consuming, so I've been getting half lazy for a bit sometimes. So far today is taking me at least like 11 hours on and off, since I was a little busy today. But yeah, give or take maybe 7 of those hours I probably spent working on this. So yeah, this took quite a long time. The whole clip of this from beginning to end was at least over 2.5 hours. So yeah, that was pretty boring to try and edit. Not the most fun either, but at least the artwork came out pretty good. Can't really say the same about the video. It's alright. Maybe it'll get better in the future. The more I get used to doing this. I try to cut down as much of the shading as I can, since, well, it's not the most entertaining stuff. Well, maybe for some people it is, but I also didn't really have anything else to say during this part, since most of what I could have said, I said before, earlier. I guess this is kind of half an excuse for me to get comfortable talking through voiceover. Feels a bit awkward, since I've never done this style of video. Don't know what to say. I guess just comment down your favorite Transformer down in the comments. That is, if anyone watches this. And this completes 1 month of drawing Transformers. This journey was pretty interesting. It started out as just okay looking Devestator in the beginning, and then slowly evolved from my pages in early November, all my early sketches from my figures, and then using those comic books as reference really helped me throughout this journey. I think the mix of toys and comic book references was a pretty major help. Maybe one day I'll do part 2 to this and see how much more I can improve in another month or so. And I think I did accomplish the goals from this video too. Being able to draw good Transformers and being able to draw a pretty cool looking Devastator. So to end off this video, I'll show off all 3 versions of Devastator that I made throughout this video, and that'll do it. This is the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, weren't too bored for my commentary, leave a like, comment something down, and I'll possibly see you in a future video if I make more. See ya.